For our glorious second episode, the one where we get to try and do it right this time.
Oh, that's too much pressure right now.
Yeah, especially what? It's what? What time is it for you in Germany?
7 p.m.
Yeah, you're ending your day as Matt and I are basically starting ours.
Yeah, it's so strange for me to basically to live in the future for you. You know, my day is almost over, and you could go to a late lunch, for example. I go to bed.
Has anything good happened that we can look forward to?
You're too young to be going to bed at 7 p.m.
Yeah. But basically, maybe in 2 or 3 hours I go to bed, and then you still have the evening ahead of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
we do.
That's why we managed to find a time that works for both of us. Well, the three of us.
Yes, the three of us. The both of us is usually during the week when you guys are chatting when I'm in the middle of work, trying to not respond.
So, guys, how are you? What we are talking about today?
Well, we are going to talk about the Candy Snatchers, probably one of my favorite Vinegar Syndrome releases, even though it is really it's a flawed movie. It's a very flawed movie. But let's talk about something else. Let's talk about 5 movies that we are all excited about that are going to be getting released from various companies next year.
That sounds not scripted at all.
Yeah. Completely on the fly here.
Good idea.
I'm just
oh my God. You're on fire. Let's start. Okay.
Why don't you go first?
No, you go first.
All right, I'll go first.
Yeah.
The first one is coming out from Vinegar Syndrome. It is a 4K release of Thriller: A Cruel Picture. I am so excited about this movie. It is not an easy watch, but I am, and Christina Lindbergh is, but I am excited to finally retire my Synapse DVDs that I bought almost 20 years ago.
Okay.
And canceling the Synapse Blu-ray order because this is I'm going to guess this will probably be my most anticipated release of the halfway to Black Friday sale when I'm guessing it comes out. The next one are 2 4Ks coming from Criterion. The first is The Beatles: A Hard Day's Night, and one that I'm sure we will see on a bunch of lists, Miller's Crossing, also from Criterion. This one has not been announced yet, but I'm guessing it's coming out, and I haven't even gotten the first one yet from Arrow Shawscope Volume 2. And I think this will probably either be the first or second release of next year that I'm excited about is the Santos Box Set. He's a Mexican mass luchador from the 60s who made a ton of fantastic, weird films in Mexico, mostly with Blue Demon Sr., and that box set is coming out early next year.
Nice.
Awesome. Did they announce the volume 2 of that Shawscope?
No, I'm just betting that it happens.
Yeah. That would be nice.
I'm guessing that'll be their annual holiday release, if it sells well enough.
I like it.
Yeah.
Oliver, you want to go next, or you want me to?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do the 2 Vinegar Syndromes first. One, like Robert said, is the Thriller. I have no idea what it is. I just know that I've seen it in all the Vinegar Syndrome groups. Everyone's always been, hopefully we get this year. Hopefully we get it next year, and it's finally coming. So I'm just excited to see why everyone's talking about it. Like Robert said, it's not an easy watch. That intrigues me more. So I'm excited for that one. The other one from them is the 4K of Dead Heat, which, not a great movie, but it's a really fun watch. And the version that I have is pretty terrible picture quality. So I'm happy to kind of revisit that one again with good special features, better picture. I can see Robert wanting to disagree with me on this one.
If there were a list of anticipated disappointing releases of 2022 that he would surely find its way onto that list. It's one of those Vinegar Syndrome releases like Tough Guys Don't Dance, which they have me shaking my head of like, I'll watch it, but this movie is going to be so far down my list that I might not get to it for a while.
Well, it might be one of the first ones I watch when I get it. I don't know why I'm so excited for it, but I am.
I don't know either, and Oliver and I are going to have a talk about it after the show.
When I inevitably lose service at the end. Next one I've got, I know this one might come up again, is the RoboCop 4K from Arrow. It's if I don't know if you guys use Letterboxd and have your like 4 favorites on there, but that's one of my top 4 favorite movies of all time. When we got a puppy when I was a kid, I named him Murphy. It's just been like not a like, you know, probably a good movie for a little kid to watch, but I feel like times were just different back then, so it was allowed. But it's always just stuck with me. I've loved it ever since. So I'm happy to see, it got a good treatment to it. I saw that it's got almost like a 10-year-old scan at this point, so I'm hoping the 4K kind of does elevate it enough to warrant a 4K, I guess.
Yeah.
See, this is something I'm kind of irritated about. The RoboCop Blu-ray came out last year, right?
No.
I
Or was it
think
2
the
years ago?
standard did. I think they had like a limited edition that maybe came out the year before.
Yeah.
I get
think so,
lost
yeah.
with all those.
It's like 4K existed back then. Why would you have put it out? And it's going to be the same people that are buying, who are upgrading, and I got to tell you, it's getting to be enough from Arrow with their reissues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
I think.
Go
ahead. Go ahead.
I think their 4Ks look beautiful, but it's like, why am I spending money to upgrade something that already looks good when I could spend that money on something else that I don't already own?
Right.
I
agree.
I think they're putting out 4Ks so late, because even so the UK is a different market when it comes to physical media. DVD is very strong in the UK. And I think I could imagine that they are a little hesitant towards putting out 4Ks in the past, because the market is so slow moving towards 4K. And I think like Criterion had also a lot of opportunities to upgrade to 4K, and they didn't. And I think they have smart people who look at the market and decide when the time is right to go 4K. Of course, it's a little annoying for the customer who already bought the Blu-ray and then is confronted with buying the same movie just on 4K. But in the end, so I'm looking forward to the RoboCop 4K, because I don't have the Arrow version.
I'm going to fully admit I don't have it either, and I will be ordering the 4K because I suspected something like this was going to happen, so I avoided it.
Yeah.
I wish I did the same thing when Django finally got released.
Yeah. And the same thing is probably going to happen to The Thing. We already have a 4K out there of The Thing, and I think Arrow is going to upgrade that movie.
I think they will too.
Yeah.
I think they will too.
So,
Matt, what's the final movie on your list?
Last 2 I've got. They're from a company. I don't know if you guys have heard from them. It's Error 4444. They specialize in like Asian horror and Asian exploitation. This past year, they put out a release called Anatomia Extinction. Just super like crazy movie, and they've got 2 more coming out next year. Two double features. One called Funky Forest with its sequel Warped Forest, and then the other one is Centipede Horror, and it's combined with Red Spells Red. don't know anything about these movies either. I didn't know anything about Anatomia Extinction when it came out, but just watching the trailers, looking at the screenshots they're putting on their website, they look bonkers. And if they're anything like the first one, then I'm really excited to see what they are. They're just like crazy movies.
That's cool. That's cool. So I think we
Yeah.
have to put the link into the description of the video.
Yeah, definitely.
So because probably most people haven't heard of that one,
Yep.
of that label. Nice. All right. Okay, so I picked also Miller's Crossing. I have the standard Blu-ray from a German company, but I'm looking forward to have the Criterion as well. But also looking forward to the Flight of the Phoenix. I'm a big Jimmy Stewart fan and haven't seen that one yet, so that's going to be cool. Then I'm not going with the Vinegar Syndrome, but the second side of Censor, because Vinegar Syndrome releases Censor this year and second side in January next year. I also have RoboCop on my list, but also American Werewolf in London. I don't have the Arrow version, and I'm happy to have the 4K. And they also going to be going to release To Sleep as to Dream in March, I think. It looks interesting to me. I'm looking forward to that. And then we have the BFI release of Targets that's coming in June. That was scheduled for October this year and was postponed for some reason. I don't know why, but so we have to wait another 6 months for that one. And then we have Titan or Titan. I don't know what's pronounced. The French, basically a French David Cronenberg movie that I'm looking forward to. That's coming from Koch Media in Germany. Yeah, that's my top 5 right now. Yeah.
Before we get into what's next, out of all the releases that you guys said, what is the one you're most looking forward to? Matt, why don't you go first?
Well, I'm not going to say Dead Heat now. I'd go with no, I'd say RoboCop. I just, I've loved it for my whole life, and it's actually been a while since I've revisited it and watched it again. But really excited to that one. I didn't get the Blu-ray either, so I don't know what the special features are on it. So I'm excited to go through those. I don't know if it's the director's cut on there. I don't know if that was on the Blu-ray or not, but excited for that. So yeah, I'd say RoboCop number 1.
Nice.
What about you, Oliver?
I go with Censor.
Okay.
I think this story is super exciting.
I think so too, and Censor is such a good movie, and I'm just going to say it's my favorite film of 2021.
Nice.
Not my favorite Vinegar Syndrome release, but my favorite film of 2021. And I think my most anticipated release is going to be the Santos Box Set, because
I need to look into that.
I've seen a lot of these movies like on Galavision, with no subtitles or dubbing. Now I just want to see them with subtitles so I know exactly what's going on.
Nice.
So let's talk about
what
we're going to be focusing our collections on next year, or what we think we're going to be focusing our collections on next year. Matt, why don't you go first?
Yeah,
I'll go. I guess the first one here, and I know that as I say this, it's going to be a lie, but I kind of want to focus on, not buying every single new Vinegar Syndrome release every month and concentrating more on getting some of the back catalog titles. Especially this first half of the next year, I didn't get the subscription, so I guess I can kind of pick and choose what I want here and there without getting them all. But I think I want to get some of those older ones that I don't have yet.
Which one do you want them? Which one is your most desired purchase
from Vinegar Syndrome?
Yeah.
I've got a long list of them. I guess I can see one right in our background here. The Raw Force. I'm excited to get. There was one that I thought looked interesting. I think it was called Death Row Game Show.
Death Row Game Show is the superior version to Running Man.
Yeah, I thought it sounded really interesting. I know that we had talked about it before. I ended up getting a copy of Death Promises. I've been wanting to get that one for a little while. I don't know. That's not really a back catalog, but
It is. It's been about a year, half a year.
yeah. Other than that, kind of just doing a little more upgrading to 4K stuff. I've got kind of some DVDs still sticking around that never get watched or anything, so I'd like to upgrade those. But I think most importantly, I just want to concentrate on actually watching all the movies I have. We've talked before, and I buy them
Wait,
all, and
what?
they
Hold on.
just sit there, and yeah. So I don't want to be that guy who just has movies upon movies still shrink wrapped, never looks at them. So I want to concentrate mostly on actually watching these movies and enjoying them.
No, I agree, and that's one of my things that I'll talk about. That there was a point where I bought way too much stuff, and I have movies that are unwrapped, that are still wrapped, not unwrapped. And when I was moving from Detroit to DC, I started reboxing my stuff, and I started looking, and I'm like, when the fuck did I buy this?
Yeah.
And why haven't I watched it? And it's like I discovered I had a DVD copy of 3 on a meat hook.
I've not seen that
it before, and I know why I probably never opened it. But no, I think that's like the biggest thing is just being able to watch the movies. As I said, I think last week or just to you guys, 2021 was the first year that I was able to watch every Vinegar Syndrome release.
Yeah.
And
That's awesome.
How many movies did you watch this year?
Too many.
Or not
And
enough.
it didn't hurt that at the beginning of the year we were pretty much still under lockdown. Like I couldn't go out and perform comedy. So I was able to just go through everything, and then during my move when I was packing stuff, I would have the movies on in the background while I packed.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
I have a feeling 2022 I will not be able to make it through all the movies again, especially if we're going back to the office. My biggest trend, and I think it's already started this year, is box sets. I think it's going to be more box sets.
Okay.
You get more movies, and it focuses, like Severin does a great job focusing on one director, or Arrow just putting out a ton of one genre in a specific set that I love, like the Shaw Scope. I mean, so excited about that. I'm probably more so this year than any other release that I've purchased. But I think box sets is the way I'm going to go, more 4K. And I want to get into collecting, and I hope someone puts it out, religious movies from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Like a lot of stuff was shot on film. And the other day, when a friend of mine was talking about it, I'm like, I would love to watch Christian horror movies.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that one of the companies, Severin, if you're listening, will be doing a box set of that stuff.
They did a what's it called? A
non-spoiler. Sorry, I do stutter. I don't mean to stutter. I have it. So.
Difficult word to say. Yeah, interesting.
All right, Oliver. What about you?
I'm also going to upgrade a couple of Blu-rays to 4K. Looking at Mad Max 1, 2, and 3, the fourth one I got. So 4K, and then I'm also concentrating on a lot of Hong Kong martial arts movies. Arrow with the short scope release that hopefully coming next week, and then I have a couple of orders from Eureka and 88 Films. That's going to be interesting. But I'm also very much looking forward to the Vinegar Syndrome releases. First time subscriber, and then hopefully I watch them all like you did this year. But I noticed that if I behave like a programmer in the theater, so my movie night is on Friday, and I'm picking 3 to 4 movies for Friday. I'm able to watch a lot of movies I haven't seen in decades and that are still in their packaging, never opened, sealed. So that's also my strategy, to pick older movies that I have on my shelf for years, and then watch them, and decrease the amount of movies I've not watched in my collection. That's a strategy I'm going to focus on as well.
Conquering one's collection is difficult because while you're trying to watch older stuff, you're still adding newer stuff, and it becomes a debate. What do I watch? What do I watch? Like last night,
that's true.
I watched the Candy Snatchers and Venom, and then I'm like, do I go in there and pick another movie, or do I just
go to bed?
No, I just watched YouTube videos.
Okay.
About people's collections.
but I think it helps if you can put like a theme. You pick a theme for a month, for example, and you stick to it, and then you work around through your collection and conquering it that way.
I usually do that. When I try to do a double feature on a night that I'm not going out, like Friday, Saturday, or sometimes Sunday, and there's usually I usually do a connection. Each movie's connected thematically with the other one. Like I did do Censor and Fade to Black because thematically those two movies are the same. Though I have been watching the horrible All the Haunts BR's box set from Severin.
Oh, is it not good? I'm still waiting on mine.
First of all, we got a comment. Vask Tech. All right. I'm guessing that might be spam.
Probably, yeah.
All right. No, I ordered it, and first of all, I hate the way it was packed. That it came with straw, and as I cut open the box, the straw flew all over my movie room. So I hated that. I watched the documentary, and I first watched the intro with the director because I was kind of fascinated where this project started from. And it originally started as an extra feature, probably for the first movie, Eyes of Fire. And then it became nearly 3.5 hours. And my first thought was, you could have cut this by 90 minutes and it still would have been as informative. And then the first movie, Eyes of Fire, was so boring.
Okay.
So I'm worried now that other movies on this set are going to be a chore to watch, kind of like the Christopher Lee set.
Yeah. Could be. Yeah. What's the latest movie in the collection from the production year?
It's either Field of England, which was 2012, or there might have been one that's more recent.
And the oldest one?
I have no idea. Probably from the 60s.
Oh, okay.
But the one fascinating thing about it is there are shorts on every disc. And on the first one is an animated film, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, narrated by John Carradine. As I watched it, I realized I'd seen that movie before, like in elementary school. And it was so exciting to see that again. So I'll give that as a bonus. As one reason to buy it is that 13-minute short on the second disc. But
that sounds worth it.
So let's talk about the Candy Snatchers. You guys both watched it for the first time this weekend, right?
Yep. Awkward silence.
Oliver, Oliver, can you please read the synopsis on the back of the box, and we can dive in.
All right. Candy is a teenage heiress to a large fortune, is kidnapped by a trio of small-time criminals on her way home from Catholic school. After burying her alive in an unmarked grave, the trio attempts to extort Candy's father, a wealthy jeweler, and for a hefty ransom. But what seemed like a simple, straightforward kidnapping soon spirals out of control with violent consequences, and Candy's only hope for survival is a young mute boy who knows where she's buried. But that's like the first 5 minutes. Like maybe 10 minutes.
So, what did you guys think upon watching it for the first time?
Mick, go for it.
I'm gonna say that I might have ruined my expectations going into it, and it might have changed the way I looked at it. But I was, just like reading some spoilers.
And
Uh-oh.
he,
No. You read some spoilers.
I think it's the spirit of the director, who is very much alive.
Yes.
Making sure that Matt does not say anything negative about the movie. All right. While we wait for him to come back, Oliver, what were your impressions on it?
So, like I told you before we started, I did go in and had some expectations around it to be like violent or even maybe a little, I don't know, disturbing movie. But what I found or got was it was a dark comedy for a part of it, I think, because the fact that don't want to spoil too much, but the father behaved differently than I expected. That was a good thing, but so I can put it. I can't point it out right away what it is that put me so off. But my expectation were like that I got a darker movie. So there's Matt again. I thought I get a darker movie than I really had to watch at the end. Candy Snatchers was not that exploitive than I would have wanted. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Matt, you got cut off. We're pretty sure the spirit of the director, who's very much alive, just made sure you did not say anything negative about the movie.
You mean Sir Trueblood? No, it sounded like I just kind of came back in at the end of Oliver's, but it sounds like we kind of had the same experience where I was, reading reviews, and I thought this was going to be like a super like gritty, dirty kind of viewing experience, and I thought it was a little like lighter viewing than I was expecting.
Yeah.
So I don't know if reading the reviews beforehand hurt it, because maybe I was just kind of building it up from that, but overall, thought pretty decent. Just I was expecting a much more exploitative film, I guess.
Yeah. Thank you. That's exactly what I meant to say, and I didn't have the words for it. It could have been darker, but it had moments that were funny, but I don't know if it was on purpose. So there's one scene, maybe it was on purpose because it was so hilarious. They got binoculars and a bird's book for bird watching or something like that. Hey, we have a guest. Nice. And they jump out of the van in a very strange way, and like soldiers standing on the cliff and looking at the road. It was.
They walk roughly
funny.
2.5 feet away from the van.
It was a strange scene. It was funny, but I don't know if that was intentional.
So, I'm kind of confused. 'Cause I don't know where you guys are saying this movie. You wanted a darker movie. This movie was dark. Um, I'm going to spoil the movie. Is that okay? Because I'm sure everyone who's watching this has seen it.
So
Even the
if you haven't
gods.
seen it, now is the time to click away. Robert is going to spoil Candy Snatchers for you.
The line where the dad said to the kidnappers, "I've been waiting for someone like you."
Mm-hmm.
That at that moment, the movie changed, where the bad guys were not the main bad guys of the movie. The other thing is, every character in this movie, from Candy to the kidnapper to her parents to the kid's parents and the boss, everybody in this film is a nasty character. Though some of it we don't know until the very end of it, but there is not a single good character in this film. I mean, you could tell that Candy was kind of living on the wild side by the fact that she was hitchhiking early on in the film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, why'd she feel the need to do the double hitchhike? Got her into trouble. She got out of the first car and then hitchhiked again.
Because it was obvious she is a rebellious kid who was rebelling once of having an asshole stepdad and an alcoholic mom who's always too busy for her because of the church bazaar, which is the greatest excuse ever, which I am going to start using. Robert, how come you get out last night? Prepping for the church bazaar, a lot to do. Robert, you're Jewish. Doesn't matter. Church bazaar doesn't discriminate.
You could use the other excuse from this movie that I think might be even more unbelievable and just blame it on the Dutch cartel. Is that a thing?
In the diamond world, yeah, the Dutch own the diamond. But yes, that is also going to be my excuse. Robert, where are you? Dutch cartel can't do anything.
But I think it's very interesting. I haven't thought about it. There's really no decent, good character in the whole movie. Everybody has some sort of dark side. Maybe the telephone guy who gets beat up.
Maybe, yeah, but he's not. I don't consider him a character.
No, that's true.
And this is my greatest problem with the movie, is every character in there is not fully developed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It seems like all right, so the kidnappers are more so than the mom, the kid's parents, or the kid's boss. And it kind of strikes me of how dumb these kidnappers were when they mentioned, "Oh, I got the idea for this while watching TV."
Yeah. Yep.
And then when the girl, when Candy's stepdad said, "You guys didn't really do your research on this, did you?" And it's like, and to me, that's where the movie, I think, goes well. When you see a normal kidnapping movie, you see the people committing the crime. They are super well planned. They have everything organized down to the T. And you had these three people who, for better or worse, are idiots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, to go with that, I think the film does a really good job of, kind of pulling you back and forth to, like, you at one point you kind of like the villains, at one point you hate the villains, and then when the phone call with the dad happens, I honestly felt like sorry for the villains when they find out, like, oh, we screwed up, this isn't gonna work. Especially Eddie. I thought Eddie was, like, maybe the most developed character, but at the same time, like, maybe the most relatable.
Eddie was the guy. No, you're right. Eddie represents the everyman.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing this for a better life. He did not want anything to happen to the girl.
Mm-hmm.
But when Tiffany Bowling's character and the guy who played her brother, whose name I can't remember, started getting even crazier, you saw him kind of moving away from them,
mm-hmm.
but still be loyal at the same time.
Yeah, because he had his fantasy about the future. His but he had a strange way to go after his fantasy, I thought.
No, it was an easy way. They all thought this was going to be easy money.
Yeah, but the rape scene between him and the blonde girl was not Candy. What was her name?
Tiffany Boland's
Tiffany.
character.
Yeah.
Jesse.
Jesse, right. Yeah. So that came not out of nowhere, but I thought it was I didn't need it, and it was strange to see because you had the idea of him liking her, and if you like somebody, you don't do that, you know.
Yeah, but also they are criminals, and I wish they gave us a little. And he admitted that he liked. It was alluded that he liked her in the movie. I wish they gave us a little bit more of their background of what other capers have they done in the past. Because at the beginning, they all seem to like each other, but as the crime goes south, their relationship becomes more and more fractured.
But it was.
Again,
I think there was still no reason to connect to any of the characters.
what do you mean?
Yeah, you didn't get any background history on anybody.
And Eddie, you did that. He used to work in a store and he got promoted, so we kind of learned about him during his little talk with Candy.
But the only person I felt bad for was the kid.
Yes, because that kid had a mother who mentally abused him and verbally abused him,
and physically.
Yes, you had a dad who just turned the other way.
Yeah.
It's weird. I kind of look at the movie Boogie Nights and Dirk Diggler's parents and see the same thing for this kid when he gets older. I guess it's a good time to actually talk about how this movie did treat the handicapped.
Yeah.
This kid was treated horribly. The scene at his dad's boss's house, when he laughed and said, "Hey, mother, a kid that doesn't talk." It's like
I hated that scene. I didn't like it.
I did too.
So why do you think they put it in there? Because it supported the idea that the parents were terrible to the kid, but I think there are a million ways to do that differently and better than something like that.
Well, I think what they were doing is a cheap joke at the kid's expense. I understand this movie was, 73, 74? But
73, yeah.
Yep.
But it still making fun of handicapped people is something you shouldn't do. And I'm guessing they were just doing this, again, to show how shitty all the people were in this movie. But it could have been better. It could have been much better.
Yeah.
I thought they tried to make it like a very grindhousey episode of Lassie.
Well, and I didn't watch any of the special features. For some reason, I'm curious if this film started out as a made-for-TV movie.
Yeah, it could be.
Because in a way, it feels like one.
Yeah.
But I do want to go back. I thought this movie did have a funny joke that I did not catch the first time I saw it. Is when the stepdad is with his girlfriend and says, "I never have to go home again." Hard cut.
Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, that's true.
The whole subplot with his secretary made no sense. It was not needed in this movie, but I'm so glad that they put it in there just for that joke.
I don't know about that. I think it supports the idea that he doesn't care about his family.
Well, I think that was pretty much shown when he gave his wife that large glass of vodka and whatever.
But but it's the same argument with the kid. You know, you could do it in one scene to tell the story that the parents are terrible and abusing the kid, but they showed it in multiple scenes, multiple times.
I think they did that because I think they were trying to pad the movie out. I think they had a feature-length film in a 1 hour with a 1 hour script.
Yeah.
Yeah, could be. Yeah.
There were too many tangents on it.
That would support the idea that it would probably made for TV in the first place.
Maybe then it would still be short for a made-for-TV movie, which clocked in at 2 hours, so about an hour 35, hour 40. So it would still need a longer script. Did any of you watch the extra features?
No, not yet.
Okay.
No.
So you guys had movie nights. Did you have people over to watch this movie with you?
Yeah. I had a friend over.
I did not.
Okay. All right. How did your friend react to it?
Basically the same way I did, laughing at the funny scenes that are still where I'm not sure that they're supposed to be funny, like the scene I told you before when they jump out of the van and salute like soldiers. But also the off-putting for the both of us were the on-off between killing Candy or not killing Candy. I think that was maybe 1 or 2 times too often, the discussion about killing her or not killing her.
And I think, again, we could go with they were trying to pad the script, and instead of writing new scenes,
but that's not a good thing.
that actually forwarded the plot.
Yeah,
they just wrote scenes that reminded us of what was going on.
Yeah, but I think. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead.
I was going to say this movie has a lot going for it. First of all, it has tension, which always makes for a good film. It has okay acting, especially with the three main kidnappers,
Mm-hmm.
and then it has a mid-movie twist that turns everything on its head with the reveal of the stepdad. I
didn't feel the tension, not at all.
Oh, what are you talking about? The tension was there of what to do with the girl. This movie was all tension.
I don't know,
but
not for me.
But that said, I think the idea of the movie is better than the movie. Again, I would like to see somebody remake this.
Yeah.
With the same exact story, set it in modern day, and they will have an explosive film. Again, that twist.
But putting her into the ground, giving her a little bit of air supply, but keeping her in the ground would make a better movie for me.
I agree, but then you have the Ryan Reynolds movie Buried.
I know. I know, but that movie is good.
It's okay. I mean, you also had the same thing in not Twin Peaks, in Kill Bill with her getting buried alive. So
yeah.
I think the buried alive thing worked when they thought they were going to have her free in a couple hours. That said, they did not have to go through with burying her alive early on. They could have easily had her somewhere else where they could have found her, where they would have had to dig a hole. I mean, they put a lot of work into that.
Yes, and that's why I think they could have stick to it a little longer and made it add more tension to it by reducing the airflow in the coffin. Well, it wasn't a coffin, but basically it would have been if she died.
Well, I mean, we can basically say, since I've spoiled the movie, she's dead.
But not the way you think.
No. If there was an epilogue 40 years later, that, or 20 years later, when they were developing that property, they would have found the body, and there would have been a new story, mystery solved, stepdaughter of dead jewelry store manager, and alcoholic mom finally found.
Before I forget, did you notice in the scene where they go to the guy to get the ear and the finger? Did you notice something about the dead body? They get the finger and the ear from?
No.
No?
She was trying so hard to keep her eyes closed.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just-
Her eyes twitched, I think, twice. And
Yeah,
after he
excessive.
cut off the after he cut off the ear, you saw a glimpse of the real ear in the real tone color of the skin.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Huh.
But the eye twitching is something you can't
Yeah, it
miss.
was-
Really.
Now I'm going to have to go back and rewatch that scene.
Yeah.
One thing we should also talk about is the theme song, "Money is the Root of All Happiness." That is stuck in my head.
That
Yeah.
opening up with that song, I gotta say, really drew me into the movie. That song
That's
is
true.
great.
That's true. Yeah. Also, nice bumper sticker.
Yeah,
On the
Yeah.
car.
What I don't like about the opening theme is they play it, then they interrupt it, and then they go back to playing
yeah.
it. I think they could have faded it down a little bit where we still heard in the background, but that interruption was kind of jarring for me. And I went on Spotify last night to look for that song. It does not exist on there, though the artist is on there.
Okay. Maybe on YouTube.
All right. Let's see. Last week we rated on a score of dead ants. Today, I guess our scale, if we all agree to it, is buried teenagers.
Okay.
How many
Yeah.
buried teenagers would you, or I'm sorry, buried candy? How many buried candies would you give this movie, Oliver?
I did give a 3 out of 5 buried candies.
All right. What about you, Matt?
I think I'm gonna do the same I did last week, which was a 3.5. I felt like it was actually like a pretty well put together movie. It kept my attention, and like I was saying, I don't know if reading about it first kind of changed my expectations going into it and kind of altered my viewing of it, but I'm gonna say 3.5. I think that's still pretty good.
I will.
Yeah,
I
I think
will.
so too.
I will. I will raise it by 0.5 to 4. I think it was a very. It took a tired premise and made it original.
That's true.
I wish it had more character development and a better script, but this is one of the few Vinegar Syndrome movies that has exceeded my expectations, and I love it. I also admit I have a crush on Tiffany Bowling. She was in this wonderful movie called Bonnie's Kids. It was her and Robin Matson, another revenge action film, but it has one of the best taglines ever: Bonnie's Kids, you'll be glad she had only 2.
Nice.
And fun fact, her mom was not a character. Their mom was not a character anywhere in that film.
Really?
Interesting.
Nice.
But again, I think it's a really good release, and one that everyone should buy or at least stream, because
Yeah, see
while
it.
you might-
At least see it. Go see it. Buy the Blu-ray
yes.
or stream it if it's available. But see it. Give it a chance. And on a closing thought, we could talk about the idea expecting things from a movie, and then like if you go into the movie and you have expectations, does that alter your experience a lot, or can you manage it during the movie?
I prefer if I prefer if a movie exceeds my expectations.
Of course, yeah.
So I'll use an example, a mainstream example. Zhang-Chi, that film when it came out a few months ago. I grew up reading the Master of Kung Fu comic from Marvel. I'm familiar with Zhang-Chi, but I had no expectation that that movie would actually be good. I thought Marvel would just do a very tired attempt at a martial arts film.
Okay.
They made the character good, and even more unfathomable, they made me like Aquafina. Who, I mean, I enjoyed her in The Farewell, but I mean, after that, I just started binging Nora from Queens on HBO.
Nice.
So, but
What about you? Okay, sorry.
But I prefer movies that when I go in them, they go somewhere where I don't expect them to go, and that's how I felt about the Candy Snatchers. So I'm sorry, my rant
Yes.
is.
No, it's perfectly fine. Yeah, that's true. Candy Snatchers is surprising. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah,
Randy?
I think I usually prefer to just go into a movie blind, especially stuff like this where it's stuff that I've never heard of. So that's why I still think that, not going in blind might have hurt it for me. But usually, even with like big mainstream movies that I know a ton about, I still try and just keep my expectations low just in case. Like the new Spider-Man movie, I'm super excited about. There's just a small fear in me that it's like they're gonna ruin this. So I'm like trying to temper things, keep everything like, if it's good, it's good. If it's bad, then at least I thought it was bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I usually like to go blind, but I feel like I always do try and keep my expectations low on just about anything.
I do that. I do that with more like boutique labels, like where I have never seen the movie before. Like pretty much 40% of the Vinegar Syndrome stuff I've never heard of before, or I've seen before and had a negative take on it.
Mm-hmm.
Watching some of these movies as I get older and hating them when I was in my teens, early 20s, that is a feeling that makes me happy. Is like, oh, fuck, I missed out on something good. One, because I probably didn't understand it, or I was at a time in my life where I was such a movie snob where I thought some of these low budget films were pieces of shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
in the end, they turned out to be some of the more inventive movies I've ever seen.
Yeah. I think there are a couple of movies, if you watch them too early in your life, you ruin them for you. Like I saw Rosemary's Baby when I was, I don't know, 13, 14, I don't know, too young to understand the movie. And I realized just recently that up to this point, I didn't want to see it again because I thought it was a terrible movie because I expected something from it that it couldn't deliver because it was about something else. I think I remember that I thought Rosemary's Baby was a horror movie where you see a baby that's a mutation, for example, or like a monster or something like that, and that's not the movie. And that's why I haven't seen it since then, and I just realized that.
So you were thinking it was more like the It's Alive series.
Maybe, yeah. So it's like over 20 years ago, so a long time ago. I can't remember what I was thinking back then, but let's see. Now, if I go into Vinegar Syndromes or Arrow or anything else from the boutique labels, if I go into a movie like that from those companies, I try to have a clean mindset about it. Don't expect a too serious movie. Is a good thing for me, works for me. Like I have for example, Bloodhook on the shelf and I'm eager to see it. I saw the trailer and through the trailer I know what I will get. So I'm not expecting a serious slasher movie or something like that, but a fun movie with a lot of blood, where I can laugh at the effects.
It's funny that Bloodhook was written, I think, and directed by someone who was either a cast member or writer on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Okay.
I would love to see them do this movie on riff tracks.
Yeah.
I think that's actually a perfect place to end this week's episode.
Yeah, let's.
We'll be back next
Wrap it up.
Sunday at 1 p.m. for our Boxing Day Spectacular. That's right. We're gonna pay homage to our Canadian viewer if we have one by celebrating Boxing Day on this show. And yeah, I'm sorry we ran out of time. We're not going to be able to reveal your secret this week. Maybe next week is a Boxing Day gift to all of our.
Well, I said it earlier. Did I cut out?
You might have. Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect timing.
Well, you know what? Let's plan on sharing it next week because you know what? It's a doozy.
It is.
And yeah. And all I can say is it happened in Orlando, Florida.
Don't give too much away.
All right. From all of us here at Grindhouse Chic, we will see you next Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Germany.
Nice. Yes.
Awesome.
See you then.
See ya.
Bye.